For three families, the news conference was a chance to say thank you. For survivor Nick Walczak's mother, it meant even more.
The most important person I need to thank right now is Mr. Ritchie, because he is the person that saved my son's life. He's the one that pulled him from the hallway into a room. He's forever our hero.
Nick is still in serious condition at Hillcrest Hospital, but making small improvements. He was shot several times, but one bullet damaged his spine and left him paralyzed. But doctors are optimistic he'll recover.
He's strong, he's brave, and his age really makes a big difference. I know he can do it.
His older brother Josh calls Nick his best friend. Demetrius Hewlin's mother says her son's decision to become an organ donor has already saved lives.
Demetrius' death was not in vain. Demetrius has donated his organs, and for Demetrius' one life, he get to change 8 lives.
She wants parents to learn from her loss.
You grab your children, you hug them, and you kiss them, and you tell them you love them. If you can't tell them, you show them.
All of the families are overwhelmed by the community's support. The Parmeters are shocked by how far it's gone.
We've received so many phone calls from people in South America, from Spain, Jacksonville, Florida, Colorado, Las Vegas. I mean, just people that are just calling the house and just wanting to do something for our family and for the other families. And, you know, they sincerely mean it. And you know anything that we've...
First responders to the Chardon school shooting returned from Columbus to a hero's welcome.
If you look at each other with respect and love and caring and remember the things that brought this town together and how it grew, this is how it turns out.
Among the 200-plus supporters that made up his welcome committee were the parents of surviving shooting victim Nick Walczak.
Everybody was just amazing, and can't thank them enough. You don't even know where to start.
Walczak was shot several times in the arm, back, and neck. He is paralyzed and undergoing intense rehabilitation.
We really don't know if he will walk soon or ever again. It's really up in the air. But at this point, we're just hoping and praying.
At the State House Wednesday, Chardon emergency responders were honored by the governor and legislators. It is a bittersweet moment for Geauga Sheriff Dan McClellan, who is so proud of his team's efforts, but still very emotional about this tragedy.
Reinforcing the need to be prepared, the need to have a plan, to practice that plan.
Chardon gladly puts behind it the tragedy of the ambush shootings. That does not diminish the brave efforts of the community's finest.
That was pretty awesome that the community was able to, you know, to come all together. And Chardon's never been like this. It's never been so together. Like, it seems like everyone knows each other in the town now. I've gotten a lot of get well cards, and a lot of them are from people who, in the card write, I know you don't know me, but, you know, where they're showing their support, and I appreciate that. Once I get back to Chardon, it'll really hit me. Life's completely different if you don't have, you know, your lower half of your body. A lot of people really don't think about it, but, you know, you can't do easy things like just getting into bed. It took me like a week to learn. It's a long process just to get to full recovery. And I'm hoping I won't be like this, you know, forever. But, you know, only time will tell. The doctor that did my surgery is cautiously optimistic about my legs feeling back. I've learned that a lot of people, you know, care about me, you know, no matter who it is. And I've learned that I can, you know, fight through a lot. I can, I'm emotionally strong. Mr. Ritchie, he he dragged me into the room by my feet, and he had his bulletproof vest on. He was keeping me calm. I was freaking out. I was moving around a lot, and I was trying to move my legs, and I mean, just being paralyzed the first couple minutes, you're like, what's going on? You don't really know. And Mr. Ritchie's just like, calm down, calm down. I didn't even know it was a real gun. And Mr. Ritchie had to break the news to me. And I appreciate that. Then I remember Officer DeLisa. I remember he came in. He was asking me who it was, and he asked me if I'm okay, and I said, I'm all right. Just I want the paramedics. And then I remember specifically Mr. Vaddy being part of the paramedics and throwing me onto the stretcher. And I'd like to thank those two people.
Nick Walczak can already do a wheelie with his wheelchair. The 17-year-old spends his days in grueling rehabilitation with one simple focus.
I'm hoping I won't be like this, forever. But, only time will tell.
He is surrounded by support from his family and friends to the complete strangers who sent well wishes. He's amazed and humbled by what happened in his community.
It surprised me because everybody, I didn't know Chardon could turn into such a loving community. It was never as close as it is now.
As for the day that changed his life, he is grateful to the people who saved it.
Mr. Ritchie, he dragged me into the room. He told me what was going on, and he told me just to stay calm. Then I remember Officer DeLisa. He asked me if I'm okay.
He knows life will be different when he finally goes home and is excited to see his classmates, but there will be 3 faces he'll miss the most.
We did lose, 3 really great kids. They were my really good friends too, and it's gonna be hard first couple of years, especially with the families, but it will get better. We'll remember him.
It's been 33 days since Nick Walczak came through the door of Chardon High School. But the welcome he received is something he will never forget. While his family and community share their support, he wanted to give some back to them.
I'll stay strong. It's already been a month, and people pulled through. I want them to know everything's gonna be all right. We did lose 3 really great kids. They were my really good friends too. It's gonna be hard first couple of years, especially with the families, but it will get better. We'll remember them.
Coming back is just one more mark in his recovery.
But I think it's gonna be good for him to face the fire and see his friends, to see the strength that they will continue to give him.
I've learned that I can fight through a lot. I'm emotionally strong.
Every day, Nick goes through grueling hours of physical therapy to help him adjust to life. But his doctor is amazed by his progress, even the wheelies with his wheelchair.
In terms of his ability to do skills, 90% of the people couldn't do what he does. In fact, I might even go a little higher, 95. He really is good.
Nick understands what it means to be grateful to his family, community, and fate. One of the 4 bullets that hit him lodged in the T3 vertebrae, paralyzing him from the waist down. But his spine actually saved his life.
What's right in front of this vertebrae is the heart and the lungs. And if the bullet wasn't stopped by the vertebrae, he would no longer be here.
My goals is to get my legs back. I want to see if I could walk again, and I'm excited to go through the process, but that's if the process wants to come to me, you know. If not, I'm just, you know, I'm just equally excited to just go home, and I could still do what I did before. It's just going to be more of a challenge, and you know, I like challenges.
There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of people. I didn't think there was going to be this many people.
Have you ever been to opening day before?
No, I've only been to one baseball game in my life.
So what do you think?
With these seats, it's pretty awesome. I don't know.
For the last 7 weeks, Nick Walczak's been adjusting to a different kind of life. He's been through hours of rehabilitation, learning how to function without using his legs. Earlier this week, a local Marine who was left paralyzed by a roadside bomb gave him inspiration when he walked in.
Be patient with it, because I didn't start with my foot, trying to get my foot to start working, until maybe a year after my injuries.
Every small movement a milestone, his shaking leg a sign of hope indicating some nerve activity. But it's time for Nick to move on and go home.
I was kind of sad, you know. I mean, there's a lot of nurses there that took care of me. You know, I'm going to miss them.
He came back to a quiet arrival in Chardon. Welcome home signs and red balloons. New wheelchair ramps provided by the United Way. Nick's ready to get back to the new normal.
When I go to the movies or something, I want to go to the mall. So.
You want to get back to your life, right?
Yeah, I want to get back to my life.
He plans on going back to school, and he hopes to get his old job back.
See if it's wheelchair accessible job, which it should be.
His dreams of becoming an electrical contractor are not over, just altered, and he's ready and grateful for the challenges ahead.
Got to move on. It's not the end of the world. The end of the world to me would be if I died.
This is Team Nick, a group of friends Nick Walczak's had since middle school, who are now more like brothers.
These guys helped me heal.
Every day, at least one of them is hanging out or on call if Nick needs anything.
My friends will pick me up, put me back in my chair, and the ground's not an enemy to me anymore.
As Nick's arms and shoulders get stronger, he also gets braver.
More independent than when you first saw me, and I get in and out of bed by myself.
His accomplishments might seem small to those who might not understand what paralyzed life is like, but to Team Nick, he's a daily inspiration.
Look up to him.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Especially that he still does the same things, being the way he is.
Always used to do.
It's fun.
Try and keep it normal as possible.
He's inspired me a lot just to keep going no matter what happens, and we're going to get through everything.
As for school, Nick didn't go back this year. He'll make up missed work over the summer and then plans on resuming his passion. Maybe not as an electrician, but fixing electronics.
Like I could take your DVD player and I can fix it, or I can take your, maybe even your iPod and see what's wrong with it. I really do want to find a good job that I can do.
After the day that changed his life, Nick Walczak took a break from school. He'll make up the missed work over the summer with some help from Team Nick, a group of friends who are more like brothers.
They've been driving me around and taking me to my therapy sessions, and they're good friends.
But he's taught them a thing or two about perseverance.
Be brave, go on.
Yeah, just stay strong. Yeah. Just take it one day at a time.
Nick plans to return to school for his senior year and continue his dream of a job in the electrical field.
Going to electronics instead of electrical.
Each day, he gets stronger and more independent.
My mom's not scared to leave me here alone kind of thing. I'll be fine.
I think he's came far. He's definitely a more independent person now.
I think he takes it better than most people would.
Team Nick is by his side and keeping life as normal as possible, wheelchair or not.
Frisbee golf was an experience.
No wheelchair has ever gone through what we think is wheelchair. Ruts, ravines, mud, we went everywhere.
He saw it all.
And when there's a stumble, he has a team he can count on.
My friends will pick me up, put me back in my chair, and the ground's not an enemy to me anymore.
Monica Robbins, Channel 3 News. Like any teenager, Nick Walczak is anticipating getting a new car. That's why he's learning how to assemble and take apart his wheelchair in physical therapy. As for returning to school, bittersweet, but no fear.
A school shooting is like winning the lottery times 10, except it's not money.
Nick paid respects to Danny Permator's grave before heading to school. The other victims never far from his mind.
We don't get emotional anymore around his grave. We just always talk about funny memories, and it's just sad that they weren't able to start their senior year.
Sending him off to school was a sense of normalcy, but it wasn't easy for Mom.
Like sending a child to kindergarten for the first time again, even though it's a senior year. But his friends are awesome. You know, they take care of him very much, and community takes care of him.
For the last 6 months, the only wheels Nick Walczak's controlled are on a wheelchair, until now.
I drove a '98 Ford Explorer, and this is quite an upgrade.
86% of the Chardon Healing Fund's been helping the victims' families and their financial needs. Nick needed wheels.
I don't have to rely on my friends as much, which is nice because now I can cart them around instead of them carting me around.
A wonderful opportunity for him now to regain his independence and to regain some control over his life that he lost by no choice of his own.
Junction Auto added a few extra features on their dime. MC Mobility took care of the hand controls. At $42,000, the Chrysler 300 was actually a cheaper option.
Buying a van, we could have spent $50,000 to $60,000. So for us, this was a savings.
Nick went back to driving school to learn hands-only driving and get relicensed. He caught on quick.
Like you would feel if you were driving with pedals, and that is how it feels. It feels natural.
After showing it off to family, the friends who've helped him through the last 6 months earned the first ride.
So who has the coolest ride out of all of you?
This kid,
Ricky.
No, dude, I'd rather take this.
This is my freedom. I got it back today.
It was the community that bought this car for him. All the donations, everybody that has helped out and given so much to us. I mean, it's breathtaking and incredible, and we love everybody, and we hope to give back soon.
Contributors gave more than $340,000 to the Chardon Healing Fund. The families have been able to use it for things like paying the mortgage and other living expenses. But the money is also funding trauma training for local clinicians and will pay for a resource officer in the schools, helping them be better prepared for any type of incident that may occur. And next month, United Way will be meeting with school and community members to get some ideas on how the rest of the money should be used.
You know, getting back to Nick, you showed us the car and it looks kind of small. It seems like that could actually present a challenge for him getting in and out of it by himself.
Yeah, you know, he has been learning how to collapse his wheelchair and put it back together in therapy to get it all into the passenger seat. It's definitely going to take some practice, but he is determined to make it work. And maybe now that he has a car, he may even be able to get a part-time job.
Yeah, well, we have seen what a determined young man he is. All right, thank you, Monica.
Sure. For the first time in 9 months, Nick Walczak laid eyes on the person who changed his life forever. It was in a courtroom. TJ Lane is accused of killing 3 Chardon High School students and injuring 3 others, including Nick, who is now a paraplegic. Nick was surprised by what he saw in court.
It was just not a very big deal. I thought I'd see a big bad teenager in there, and it really wasn't. He seemed like a little kid to me.
He's preparing himself for the trial and the 1-year anniversary around the corner and how Chardon High School will handle it.
We're helping plan for it, like what we're gonna do. We're not really sure yet.
A bullet grazed survivor Nate Mueller's head. He and Nick have become best friends, and while they lean on each other for support, they're grateful for the community.
I think the 1 year is going to be crazy. I think it's going to bring a lot of stuff back up, a lot of the support again. But after a year goes by, and maybe people start to maybe move on a little bit more.
Christmas time is Nick's favorite time. A gift from the Chardon Healing Fund is helping to pay for a wheelchair lift in his house. Meanwhile, Nick is more in the giving mood this year.
I'm trying not to let it mean anything different. I want it to be a normal Christmas. I don't even know if I want anything this year. I just might give presents. I have nothing to ask for. I've received everything that I've ever wanted in my life.
The only thing he truly wants is independence, and today we helped him get a little closer to it.
Nick, thanks to Monica, hooking us up with many connections. You are going to have a service dog.
Oh my gosh. Really?
He's a golden retriever named Turner, and he should be ready in about 9 months. Nick Walczak just wants a normal Christmas this year, but it came a little early. The Chardon Healing Fund provided a new wheelchair lift to his house, and we helped guide him to a little more independence.
Thanks to Monica, hooking us up with many connections. You are going to have a service dog.
Oh my gosh.
His name is Turner, and he and Nick still have about 9 months of training before they'll be working together. Meanwhile, Nick's preparing himself for the trial of accused shooter T.J. Lane. He saw him in court for the first time last weekend.
It didn't bother me much because he didn't look very happy, and the best thing I can think of to make me feel happy is that he's not.
Nick's best friend and shooting survivor Nate Mueller felt the same way.
Oh, he kind of looked just beat up, and I mean that made me feel better. That he's obviously not doing good, so.
Both Nick and Nate are helping the high school prepare for the 1-year anniversary of the February shooting. They know it will be difficult, but they want the focus to be on healing and moving forward. Monica Robbins, Channel 3 News.
Several families whose children were killed or wounded in those shootings were inside the courtroom today. Channel 3's Monica Robbins spoke with some of them. She now joins us live from Chardon as well. Monica, good evening to you.
Good evening, Russ. Yeah, this has been a day that the survivors and their families had hoped for, but were never really sure would actually arrive. The fact that it happened the day before the 1-year mark somehow seems appropriate.
I'm happy with what happened today.
Nick Walczak and the families waited a year for justice. Tuesday, T.J. Lane admitting guilt was the first step of closure.
The longer the sentence, the happier I think most people will be.
Satisfying. I like to see the fact that he could get 3 life sentences and, and then some.
Nick watched the court proceedings from his wheelchair. On March 19th, he'll learn how long Lane will stay in prison for shooting the bullets that left him paralyzed and killed 3 of his friends.
I don't think he should see the light of day ever again.
All those numbers, all those years are just really, I don't think he realizes that's his life yet.
The families are pleased the plea avoids a trial.
Oh, we're just so thankful it's over with and we can start healing and moving on with our life.
Never can put this behind us, but I'm very happy that he has pled guilty, so the families won't have to be put up with, have to go through the trial.
Nick and Nate plan on spending the 1-year mark with their friends and family. Tonight at 7, find out what else they plan on doing to mark the day that changed their lives. Reporting live from Chardon, Monica Robbins, Channel 3 News.
Okay, Monica, thank you very much.
Monica Robbins talked with 2 survivors of the Chardon High School shootings. They tell her what life has been like and what they will feel tomorrow as the community hits the 1-year mark since that tragic February morning. She is also live in Chardon. Hello, Monica.
Good evening, Robin. Yes, Chardon will pause tomorrow to remember the day that changed so many lives, but this day was about moving forward and closing a chapter on a tragic story. TJ Lane's plea takes a bit of salt out of the wound, but Chardon still needs time to heal. That begins on the date it began, February 27th. And does this help tomorrow be a little easier?
Yeah, it's going to be nice to be able to tell my friends, you know, what we saw today, and when we're thinking about Danny and Russell and Dee, we'll be able to think about how he's going to spend the rest of his life in a cell, rotting away.
Actually, I'm just going to try to spend it with as many family and friends as I can. I'm going to do the walk with them to the square and then the candlelight vigil.
Nick Walczak says he'll spend the first part of his day at school, but he has more important places to be.
I'm gonna go to everybody's house and see how they're doing, and then go to DP's grave and Demetrius's grave, and then I kind of just want some relaxed time until the vigil.
We don't have that whole trial above our heads anymore. That was going to be really tough, seeing the surveillance tape and everything in court. So, yeah, I think tomorrow it would be a little easier.
I think I'm going to do whatever comes along. Definitely go see the families and the grave sites and the resting places, and we'll just have a good time, hang out with everybody that we still have.
Now, the events tonight and tomorrow, of course, are meant to foster healing. But for those who are still dealing with loss and change, no doubt it's going to be quite overwhelming. That's why Nick told me that he was really looking forward to just find a few minutes of solitude tomorrow as well. Reporting live in Chardon, Monica Robbins, Channel 3 News.
Thank you, Monica.
This Channel 3 newscast is brought to you by Window Nation, because it's where you live. And now, Channel 3 News at 6.
1 year later, the Chardon community has come together again. This time, not only to mark a tragedy, but more importantly, to move forward. The tight-knit community is vowing to honor the victims who died. Students Demetrius Hewlin, Daniel Parmiter, and Russell King Jr., but also celebrate those who survived. It's a chance to say thanks for the support that has come from around the world, and an opportunity to look toward the future. And good evening. I'm Russ Mitchell, live in Chardon. My partner Chris Pickle is back in the studio. We'll check in with her in just a bit. A year ago, many of us were here in Chardon scratching our heads asking, why did this happen? A year later, the suspect in this case is behind bars and has a very good chance of spending the rest of his life in prison. We have had 365 days to reflect on that, but I think tonight it is safe to say that most of us are still sitting here scratching our heads asking, why did this happen? This was a day of reflection, remembrance, and hope here in Chardon, but in many ways it turned into a day of celebration. Celebration for a community that very aggressively embraced the healing process, did it in a courageous way, and is thriving. And today, of course, was a very important part of that healing. We have got a lot to get to in the next few minutes, but we begin tonight with some blockbuster legal news. TJ Lane, who has admitted to the Chardon shootings, is now being sued by the parents of those he killed. The investigator, Tom Meyer, is in the newsroom downtown with the latest on that. Tom, good evening.
Hey, Russ. The parents say the three boys suffered severe physical and emotional pain both during the shooting and afterwards until they died. They also say their families continue to deal with emotional trauma. Today, they asked the court to make TJ Lane and his family pay for that pain. A day after TJ Lane pleaded guilty to killing Danny Parmiter, Russell King, and Demetrius Hewlin, the families of the three say Lane's not the only one responsible for their sons' deaths. They say Lane's parents, as well as his maternal grandparents, whom Lane was living with at the time of the shooting, also shoulder part of the blame. In a lawsuit filed in Lake County Court, the families allege the four negligently failed to supervise Lane, which, quote, facilitated, contributed to, and otherwise failed to prevent the fatal shooting. The suit also names an uncle, John Bruning, who the family say owned the .22 caliber handgun used in the shooting. TJ's grandma denied the allegations, saying, quote, I did everything I could. I picked him up from school every day. I was with him all the time. Also, Bruning's wife says that they never owned the gun used in the shooting, that it came from the other side of the family. Now, the families are seeking monetary damages for their pain and suffering, also to cover medical bills and funeral expenses.
Tom, I think a lot of people are kind of confused tonight and wondering what is the point of this, but let me ask you, in the world of the legal community, is this just part of the process? Was this expected?
I don't know if it was expected or not, but it's certainly not a surprise. Typically, people who are contemplating suing will wait for a conviction or a guilty plea, which would make their arguments for monetary damages even stronger. And of course, that guilty plea came yesterday, so they didn't waste any time filing the lawsuit, but then again, they've had plenty of time to think about it.
Okay, Tom Meyer in the newsroom. Thank you very much. Let's get back to the events of today here in Chardon. Chardon students from the high school walked from the high school to the town square this afternoon to commemorate this day. Our Kim Wheeler is here. She's been covering the story all day long. Kim, how did students commemorate this very special day?
Well, they came here to the square, and I have to tell you, it was really moving watching them walk here to the gazebo, and they had many people waiting here for them to support them. And it's been clear throughout this that they want to move forward, but it was also clear today that with every step, it's a leap of faith.
And with that, the students of Chardon High School, linked together by tragedy, took a familiar path. They walked to the town square. You may remember on their first day back after the shooting, they walked that same route. Now listen as the students talk about that journey.
It was hard to even imagine setting foot back into the building where such a tragedy occurred. And after we did, it was hard to imagine that our lives would ever approach any definition of normal again.
We as Hilltoppers refuse to be consumed by feelings of sadness and bitterness.
There are no explanations I can give that could help any of us understand.
As they walked to the square, they were applauded by people who lined the streets. They were also flanked by first responders who took them to safety that horrible day. And their parents waited for them today, just like they did a year ago. Under the American flag, they made it to the gazebo, lined with photos of the classmates that they lost so tragically.
It's been a hard day in the sense that it has been 1 year, but it's also been a great day in the support that they've given to each other.
Chardon High School is different, but determined.
We're not looking at guns in schools. We're not looking at bringing additional police, but the ability to have vigilance and something is wrong, this doesn't seem right, to tell somebody, that's key.
And that superintendent today also said that they are definitely dealing with post-traumatic stress, and that they still have counselors that are available, of course, to the students and also the staff. By the way, he's retiring in June. He was supposed to retire this year, but after this happened, he decided to stick it out another year because he wanted to be with the students and everyone through this difficult year.
Okay, Kim Wheeler, thank you so much.
Sure.
As we said, residents of Chardon and the neighboring communities have spent the last year trying to heal. It has not been easy. It's taken a whole lot of work. But as I said earlier, today is a big part of the healing process. John Anderson joins me now with more on that. John, what did you learn today?
Well, Russ, you started the show by saying we still ask the questions why. But you walk around Chardon and you also hear what. What can I do to remember those we lost? What can I do to help someone? Chardon Square is filled with hugs and signs on the 1-year anniversary of the school shooting. But talk to someone who lives here and they say this outpouring of support happens every day.
When you need something, somebody is always there, and they'll bring somebody along too. So the amount of people that you actually started with that would help each other out, you then have 2, 3, 4 people.
Sarah Wyatt works at the coffee shop. She went to Chardon High School, and she relies on family, friends, and faith.
Slowly, every day, it gets easier, and then, you know, you got to keep moving, and then it'll come up again, and then you got to keep moving. You got to, you know, like I said, remember it and think about it, pray about it.
We saw that pain again today, but Marcy is reminded of an even stronger feeling that makes Chardon home.
I think the love has surpassed the pain because, yes, we still will all be in pain from it, but the love of each other and for each other seems to kind of surpass that.
And Russ, you hear that word love a lot around here.
Sure.
Sarah has told me she's had friends that have moved away from Chardon. They were some of the first that reached out to her. They've also come back to be part of the healing process.
Lady at the gas station here in Chardon told me this morning it's a beautiful day. And I said, tell me why it's a beautiful day. And she said, because we never thought we were going to get to this point.
Yeah.
And we are thriving. We're doing well, much better than we thought we were going to do. Sounds like you found a lot of that today as well.
I did. They say they were close-knit before the tragedy. They're even closer today.
All right, John Anderson, thanks a lot. One of the very tough young men we've been able to come to meet over the past year is Nick Walczak, one of the survivors of the shooting. Monica Robbins, our senior health correspondent, has been doing a series of stories on him throughout the past year. Tonight she talked with Nick and takes a look forward and back.
This last year has been a pretty hard time for me, so.
Every day, Nick Walczak is reminded of February 27, 2012. There is what was before, and now what's after. Nick was shot 4 times. His spine saved his life, stopping a bullet from entering his heart. But now he's paralyzed. For Nick, the bigger loss was the lives of 3 of his best friends. Today, he has a new understanding of friendship.
What I learned from that day was, like I said, friendship and how much people really do care.
A month after the shooting, we spoke with Nick at Metro Health, where he was beginning rehabilitation and learning how to live his life in a wheelchair. Just 1 day later, Nick went back to Chardon High School. Cathartic for him and for his classmates who needed to see that he survived and could still enjoy the things teens love, like a day at an Indians home opener. And on April 12th, Nick finally came home for good. But physical and occupational therapy continued to teach Nick how to maneuver around life's obstacles and gain independence. That independence accelerated by a specially equipped car purchased by the Chardon Healing Fund. Nick drives it by using his hands. On August 23rd, a new school year started at Chardon, and Nick was there for his senior year. How has this changed you?
I'm probably a stronger person than I thought I was. Obviously, I never thought this would happen to me. Nobody really would.
What do you want the community and your classmates and teachers to remember?
I always want people to remember it, but at the same time, they need to learn how to heal and, you know, put the past out of your mind for a little while.
I'll be back in a minute.
Nick's family and friends are his source of strength. After graduation, he wants to spend as much time as he can with them.
It's the last summer of being a kid, so I'm gonna make it last.
I am very proud to say that Nick Walczak is a Facebook friend of mine, and as I looked at my Facebook page this morning, I saw that Nick posted, "Wow, didn't know how much I missed you guys. Seems like 1 year is a reminder. Love you guys, rest in peace." He was speaking about his 3 friends who were killed that day. One of them was Danny Parmenter. Our Stephanie Quigneau talked with Danny Parmenter's family, his parents, who were doing things that have helped them and also helped the community.
The journey without Danny, we know we have to go through life without him, so it's very difficult, but we know we have to do it.
It's been 1 year since Danny Parmenter, at just 16 years old, was shot and killed at Chardon High School.
Nothing is certain like it used to be, I guess, you know. It's so uncertain, uncharted waters that we're in.
Danny's parents, Dina and Bob, admit it hasn't been easy.
Things that we used to do, I don't do it no more. I used to go skiing with them. I just can't do it no more. No desire. I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah, very.
But they have found comfort in the details.
The snow, you know, it's very good that it's snowing today as we're talking, because Danny loves snow and skiing. That was his thing too, definitely. So I kind of like that it's snowing right now, actually. I don't like the snow myself too much, but maybe that's a good sign, you know, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That it's snowing.
The Parmenters have also found new purpose by starting a charity in Danny's name. It provides scholarship money for students interested in Danny's passion, computers. They've also reached out to the families of Russell King and Demetrius Hewlin, who were also killed in the Chardon shooting.
And we've gotten together, all of us, and just talked, and you find things that you were maybe thinking was only in your mind. At least I have found that same thing, like they put it in the same wording Nobody really can understand it.
For Bob, he hopes for a day when people don't have to understand.
What can we do as human beings is what I'm thinking is, what can we do? Are we going to continue letting this happen? Or are we going to talk about it for 35 years? We need to get something done.
Some more powerful images from a powerful day. Let me kind of give you a rundown of what's going to happen here in the next 45 minutes or so. There'll be a concert at the gazebo here in Chardon Square at 7 o'clock tonight. That'll be followed by some comments by the mayor and other city officials. We're going to be back at 7 o'clock at our 7 o'clock broadcast to bring you the latest on that. Chris, I got to tell you, I said it earlier today that covering the story a year ago reminded me of covering 9/11. At the moment, there's this feeling of uncertainty and what the heck is going on. I wonder if things will ever get back to normal. Well, I can tell you 1 year later, things are back to normal in Chardon. It's a new normal. The people here are embracing it, and they continue to heal.
And absolutely, the strength that that community has shown is inspirational. All right. Thank you, Russ.
This Channel 3 newscast is brought to you by Window Nation, because it's where you live. And now, Channel 3 News at 11.
1 year ago, Chardon, Ohio changed forever. A gunman shoots and kills Demetrius Hewlin, Russell King, and Danny Parmenter, and injures 3 others inside the school cafeteria. But in the school's worst days, the community brings light.
And this evening, the light of this community shines brightly for all the world to see.
Today, Chardon remembered, reflected, and together moved forward.
I always want people to remember it, but at the same time, they need to learn how to heal.
We as Hilltoppers refuse to be consumed by feelings of sadness and bitterness.
Good evening. In the years since the tragedy at Chardon High School, the students, staff, and community have shown overwhelming courage and strength.
And today was not about remembering the undescribable pain felt 1 year ago, but about how far they have come together. Channel 3's Dave Summers is live in Chardon with more on how this tight-knit community marked the day that Dave really changed them forever.
Chris and Russ, the square has gone silent after a very emotionally charged day for students, their parents, and other residents. It's been 1 year since that deadly ambush shooting at Chardon High School. So what's changed? Well, just listen to those who survived it. 1 year after the tragic shooting inside Chardon High School, and students want everyone to know they're back on their feet.
We as Hilltoppers refuse to be consumed by feelings of sadness and bitterness.
In lockstep and locked arms, students and teachers walked from the school to Chardon Square. It was a walk of hugs and helpful support on signs, ribbons, and in cheerful applause. It's a short walk compared to the emotional journey each has taken this year.
At the time, it seemed as though recovery may be a long and painful road. It was hard to even imagine setting foot back into the building where such a tragedy occurred.
The 1 year anniversary commemorates the lives of those who were killed and those survivors.
It's been a hard day in the sense that it has been 1 year, but it's also been a great day in the support that they've given to each other.
There's a strong sense of peace and companionship. Very strong student body. They've gained a lot from this.
Since the tragedy, the district has found a new sense of security that doesn't include guns or more barriers, but instead starts with caring.
I genuinely believe there's more kindness at Chardon High School than ever before.
It reflects in the community that calls itself close-knit and neighborly. The community found itself side by side with students sharing kind words and candles as the day drew to a close, gathered at the gazebo in the center of the square. They came here 1 year ago in disbelief, sadness, and pain. They returned with a better sense of themselves and with the shared strength of their number.
But I'm so honored to be part of a community that has responded so well and come so far in a year.
The students told us today just how grateful they were for all of the outside help from other schools and other cities, but say they were truly inspired by the attitude changes among the students. They really each were helping each other heal. Reporting live in Chardon Square, I'm Dave Summers, Channel 3 News.
As you said, such an emotional journey. All right, thank you, Dave. Well, support for Chardon High School extends far beyond the city limits. Other local schools posted pictures online. Ledgemont School in Thompson, Berkshire in Burton, and Perry High School all wore red and black in support of Chardon's One Heartbeat. The support from everywhere means so much to so many, especially to those who experience something that few people can ever even imagine.
And that was watching a nightmare unfold before their eyes when a gunman took the lives of 3 friends. Our senior health correspondent, Monica Robbins, catches up with 3 survivors of the Chardon shooting and tells us how they're coping 1 year later.
They consider themselves as close as brothers. And on that day, they sat together in the cafeteria with their friends, Demetrius Hewlin, Russell King, and Danny Parmador. Their deaths resonate with Nick, Nate, and Danny like the loss of family members.
I think every day I wake up, it feels like it was yesterday. I want everybody to remember that those are 3 amazing people, probably 3 of the best kids you could ever meet in your life.
The survivors all bear scars. Nick's is the most obvious. Nate's grazed ear has long healed. And Danny was left physically unharmed, but the wounds on the inside still linger.
I wake up and realize who I still have in my life and how much they mean to me. Those kids and my family. I didn't really realize before how far they brought me or how much they meant to me.
You learn that life is sudden. I mean, anything can happen like that. In snap of a finger, blink of an eye. So don't take anything for granted.
Out of their shared tragedy, their bonds of friendship have only grown stronger. Nick's wheelchair may be a constant reminder, but through it all, they've been each other's support. And they're determined to bring life back to normal.
I mean, it's the little things that really mean a lot, and I could talk to my friends about anything.
When something like this happens, it kind of makes you put your values into place and realize that not everybody's meant to stay in your life together, but the ones that are will get you through it.
And that was Monica Robbins reporting. By the way, Nick Walczak posted on his Facebook page this morning, quote, "Wow, didn't know how much I missed you guys. Guess a 1 year as a reminder. Love you guys. Rest in peace."
And Channel 3's Stephanie Quinn spoke exclusively with the parents of Danny Parmador about their journey over this past year. Both Diana and Barb Parmador say it is hard for them to believe that a year has passed since the shootings. And in their home, photos of Danny are everywhere. Their grief is open-ended, but they have found strength in their now close connection with the families of Demetrius Hewlin and Russell King.
I think it's helped us, and I know it's helped them. And just sometimes just to call and say, you know, how's your day going? And I have done that with the other moms. And we've gotten together, all of us, and just talked.
The family has also started attending Cornerstone of Hope, a center which helps people grieving the loss of loved ones. And they have also found a new purpose in a charity created in Danny's name. It will help provide scholarships for students from Chardon High School or the Auburn Career Center interested in pursuing a career in computers. And you can find more information on that at WKYC.com.
And this evening, we remember all the lives lost. 17-year-old Russell King was an avid outdoorsman who loved fishing, hunting, and camping. After school, he would go to work at Amberwood Kennels to take care of dogs. 16-year-old Demetrius Hewlin was into bodybuilding. When he wasn't working out, Hewlin liked to play computer games and read books. Even after he died, Demetrius gave back by donating his organs to Life Bank. We also learned today that the families of the 3 students who lost their lives have filed a wrongful death lawsuit.
They want the shooter, TJ Lane, and his family to pay for the physical and emotional pain that has been suffered. Yesterday, Lane pleaded guilty to killing 3 of his classmates, but the family says Lane is not the only one responsible for their son's deaths. Also named in the lawsuit, Lane's parents, his maternal grandparents, whom Lane lived with, and his uncle, who owned the gun used in the shooting. TJ Lane's grandmother denied the allegations, saying, quote, "I did everything I could. I picked him up from school every day, and I was with him all the time." All right, so that while that case is being worked out, again, the community says their main focus is moving forward.
And it's an understatement to say that the people of Chardon have been just incredible, really inspiring in the way they've tried to deal with this tragedy. Before we go to break, we want to leave you with more from today's remembrance.
It's also been a great day in the support that they've given to each other.
What I learned from that day was friendship and how much people really do care.
One of the greatest labels that can be bestowed on an individual is that of a hilltopper.
I think the love has surpassed the pain.